My craziest client story.
Craziest client story.
Every time this question gets asked, I always win.
No, I don't know, bro. I think I got you.
My craziest client story? Did I tell you downstairs what that client did to me?
No.
My client grabbed my boob last week. That was crazy. Also, I was really pissed off at one of my clients for not showing up to his appointment, and here he was murdered. Does that count?
Okay, you go first.
No, you go.
No, you go first.
No, you go first.
You said you got me.
No, you go first.
All right. Well, when I was at the street shop that I first started at, I worked there for 2 years. I had this one customer. He was like a gay nudist dude, and he was very like upfront, and he asked to get like a life-size woman on his back, so her hips blended in with his hips, so that his ass looked like her ass. And then so I did this tattoo. It took like 4 sessions. And then on the last session, he asked if I could tattoo a vagina on his gooch so that when he bent over, it looked like there was a pussy there.
I was on Christopher Street in Manhattan. Dude named Leroy, I never forget his name, man. Came in and his boyfriend was sitting outside and he wanted to get a tattoo. And I'm like, okay, cool, you know what I'm saying? So he walks to the shop. It's a big dude, though. And he was like, yeah, I want to get a tattoo, you know. I'm like, okay, you know, whatever. His boyfriend comes in and he straight sounded like, how you doing? You know, I want to get a tattoo, I want to do a target on my asshole. I'm like, you want to do what? So I ended up doing it, you know what I'm saying? I did, like, at the time, I had no choice.
I didn't do mine.
So I did it.
I looked at the dude like, how the fuck?
So I did it, and dude, like, he was sitting on the chair, holding his own butt cheeks open. I'm tattooing this shit. And, yo, he farted and took a dump, dude, passed out. And that just tore my whole world up, dude. Like, that was, like, the worst experience I've ever had in my life. Yeah.
He took his shit?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude.
So a few years ago, I was in Long Island tattooing Dee Snider and his family. And, you know, I always make, you know, house calls for very important people to me, very special people to me. Dee and his family are very special to me. And so whenever I tattoo them, I would go to their house on Long Island and stay for a few days, you know. So it was the first time I was tattooing Dee. And, you know, family and real life and everything is going on the sidelines outside of the room that he's getting tattooed in. So we take these little breaks intermittently, you know, so we can go and check on everything, check on dinner, you know, check on family stuff. This one time he took a break and he was gone for probably about 20 minutes and I couldn't figure out what he was doing. And I stand up in the room and I'm looking around and I look out the window and he's laying on the ground, in the grass, in the dirt, underneath the grill, changing the propane hookup with his open, fresh tattoo rolling around in the dirt, like doing mechanic stuff. And I was just like, oh my God, this is literally like an advertisement for like what not to do. Like, I couldn't believe it was happening. How's that? Better than the murder story?
Man, like, I feel like the craziest stories are like really dirty.
I feel like it should involve like balls and dicks.
Mine did? My craziest client story was actually a guy that came to get a Pinocchio tattoo at on his private area where his nose was, you know, his male member. When he first told me the idea, I was kind of skeptical about it, and then I thought, hey, you know what? I'm a professional. This would make a great portfolio piece, and I'm very happy that he didn't lie while I was tattooing him.
I tattooed the tip of some guy's penis. Yeah, I tattooed a spider on the tip of some guy's penis in Trenton, New Jersey. It was horrible. It was a bad experience for everyone involved.
I remember I was tattooing this guy and it was very noticeable that he had a semi. And basically when I was trying to tattoo his chest, I was looking over to him and he was just staring into my eyes and I felt like he was just like breathing on me. And it was like this weird intimate thing that I couldn't stop because I had a tattoo close to his neck. You know, and I couldn't just like keep him, I couldn't get his face away from me, and everybody just came up to me afterwards making fun of what they saw, and it was pretty horrifying.
I know tattoo is painful. Tattooing is painful, and getting tattooed is painful. I mean, not tattooing isn't painful. It's so painful. But for being a client, it's painful. And I had a guy once who came in with a ball gag just for the pain.
Right.
And he was like,
That's a good idea.
He sounded like a bear mounting
I might start
like a tractor with the ball gag. So that was kind of crazy.
It'd be cool if a client walked in and you handed them the ball gag. And you're like, ready? You'll need this.
Okay, well, if we're talking Ink Master, the craziest client story I have, it's not so much crazy because I tattoo maniacs all the friggin' time. If you think about how many people wanting to get tattooed, they're all insane. We have to go through insane shit just to get tattooed. But one time I was doing my show Ink Master Angels, and the theme was suicide. And we had these 2 canvases that we didn't have prepared until last minute. These 2 people came in. And we're worried if we can even film the next day. These 2 random people come in for the face-off tattoo. They look at each other. One of the artists recognized the mother of the child she lost, and that tattooed her son, which was insane. We're looking at each other like, this did not happen. He picked the skulls to see which one was gonna be his, and that one was his. That was his canvas.
I would say my weirdest client experience didn't actually come from my client. It came from a situation surrounding their tattoo. It was at the first tattoo shop I ever worked at. Been tattooing for maybe a year, if that, and it was pretty late night. This shop stayed open super late so that after the bars closed, people would roll in, get a lot of weird little tattoos at night. So it was around that time, maybe midnight, and I was giving a guy his first tattoo. This 18-year-old kid, super nice guy, and his friends were in the shop hanging out. I think they were getting tattooed as well. And this late at night, the shop's closed, right? It's not open to the public. We kind of doing our last tattoos and closing up at the same time. And I remember I was tattooing and I heard this big like bop, bop, bop at the door. And I like looked over and I saw the owner of my shop come over and like open it, and all of a sudden, the SWAT team bursts in the fucking shop. I'm talking like people dressed in black up and down, like weapons, like SWAT all over them. It is in fucking tense, right? Jack him up against the wall, have an assault rifle pointed at him, come into the shop, storm the shop, point it at every single person, including me and the poor kid that I'm tattooing. They're not talking to me. They're talking to the kid. They're like, "What's your fucking name?" They didn't say fucking. It just is embellished from my mind. "What's your name? Like, what is your name?" And he's like, oh, and I don't remember. He said it, whatever it was, Eric or whatever. And he was like shitting his pants. And I was too, but I was like, whoa, what the fuck is happening? They kind of come in and we're all just like frozen. Like, what is going on? Finally, they're like, all right, place is clear. And we're just like, okay, what's happening? And they're like, well, apparently this guy had been doing a robbery spree all week in the area. And earlier that night there was a shootout and he killed a police officer and then sped off. Well, that vehicle was parked in our parking lot. So they assumed we were harboring him. And we weren't. He just happened to park it there. But they thought he would come back to get the vehicle and refused to let us leave the shop. And we had to sit in there and wait with them during their stakeout till about 6 o'clock in the morning. He didn't show up. That's when they gave up and towed his vehicle away and said, hey, sorry about that, bye. And yeah, I will never fucking forget that. And I'm sure that kid will literally never forget his first tattoo experience.
Oh man, my craziest clients, it's always a clear first one. Like, I was doing a stencil 2 years into tattooing. I'm finally moving into sleeves. I got my whole sleeve planned out. This guy, this big Japanese sleeve piece. And I'm stenciling him, and I kept re-stenciling him over and over again. I think it was his first tattoo, so I stencil him a couple times, and I look at his friend, and his friend's looking at him like, oh my god. I look up, and the guy's green looking at me. Like, it was just the nervousness of me taking a while to do it. He almost puked on me. I moved back just in time from him not puking across my face and chest, and he puked across my arm. My tattoo, I was using my toolbox at the time, so my whole tattoo toolbox was puked on across where my whole setup and the floor. And I'm talking like some kind of like pasta parmesan eating Italian food for 2 days puke. So we had to like clean out the shop, clean out everything. That was definitely a clear worst client. He actually came back to finish this. He's not the worst client, that was the worst story, but it's a good client. We did the piece.
I don't say this the creedest, but just I can't forget is I just started the outline, and he was talking about I want a bodysuit, and we do all the design and put up everything. So about 6 hours to prepare the job, and then I started about 2 minutes, and then he quit. That probably is like really that's bothered me.
I had this girl, I was tattooing her back, and she didn't want to eat or she didn't want to break, so she wanted to just try and get it done. After like 4 or 5 hours, we finished, and then she went to get up. As she got up, she was feeling dizzy, and then she kind of just face planted right into the wall, and we had it on camera because like our room had like security cameras. We just kept looking at it over and over, but that's probably the craziest one because she face planted and she had a big gash above her head, which wasn't funny at the time, but it's funny now.
I have one guy, really tough, 18 hours straight. After that, he smiled to me, good job, man. I'm shot. I'm just like, I need sleep right now. Yep.
Probably the guy I'm tattooing right now, yeah, Jimmy Lewin. He got, let's see, we've done his neck, his chest, his back, 2 sleeves, brought it down onto his hand, all in less than a year.
Crazy. I have many people crazy. I was working in Ibiza for 2 years, so each customer is fucking crazy. Crazy people. So I cannot remember which one was the worst or crazy. But I remember once when I was doing the guest spot, and I was tattooing her like for 14 hours on the row. For me, she was like a crazy, and she did it like a normal, like sitting like in the spa. Oh, fuck. Whoa.
I tattooed a girl on her head, and I didn't know, no one knew she was schizophrenic. And she was looking at me like every time I touched her head like this. She wanted to look at my face, so I took like 8 hours to do one thing I could do in 3 hours, but it was a super strange situation. And then she suddenly disappeared at the end of the tattoo. Didn't say anything, didn't pay. And the other day she appeared at the shop and saying sorry, but she had this problem, health problem, and she was schizophrenic. Yeah, that was crazy.
I had this guy, he was like a Wall Street guy, kind of like an American Psycho type, and he wanted some like California state line with like mini golden bridge inside it on his rib. And he was really neurotic and really anal, and he was just like telling me like how to do my job pretty much. And then I did it and he was really happy with it, and he left, then came back, was like, this line here is a little wiggly, and was like freaking out about it. Yeah, it was intense.
I didn't tattoo this guy personally. I was supposed to, but maybe about 10 years ago, this guy walked into a shop and he said, I hate my mom on my forehead. And I said, why would you want that? And he said, because I hate my fucking mom. And I said, okay, that's crazy. If you come back tomorrow, I'll hook you up. And sure enough, he comes back the next day. He comes back tomorrow, and I'm busy tattooing somebody. I thought he was not serious at all, so I'm like, listen, guy, if you come back tomorrow, I'll tattoo you tomorrow. So he comes back the third day, and by the time I get in the shop, my buddy's got him in the chair tattooing his head, I hate my mom. So that's pretty wild. That's one of the crazier ones.
I did a tattoo of a unicorn fucking a rainbow, and it was cool. The guy was super cool, you know, but it was just a weird tattoo and, you know, pretty exciting.
What position was the unicorn using to fuck the
It was doggy style, definitely. Doggy style on the rainbow, yeah.
Like in Malaysia, I just tattooed lots of poor people. People got really random stuff in Malaysia. This one guy got an American eagle with an American flag, but he wanted the flag yellow, and he wanted to take most of the stars out, so there were just 3 stars. So it's this, but it's still got the stripes, but it's just like a banana flag eagle thing.
Everyone I tattoo is crazy. We all kind of get along because of that, you know. You want the head in the trunk story? Okay. I was at a convention back in, I would say it was early 90s, 92, 93 maybe. And I'm tattooing in my hotel room. I was working on The Undertaker, the wrestler, actually. And we worked up in my room so no one would bother him. My manager came up from the convention floor saying there were some metalhead kids here dying to meet me and they had this special gift for me. And so they brought him upstairs to the room and they said, yeah, we got a head for you. I'm like, a head? I'm like, yeah, we were partying in a cemetery the other night and there was, after a rain, and there was a mudslide and we found a head in the mud and we thought you should have it, you know. And I said, oh, cool, let's go get it, you know, it's in the trunk of the car. And The Undertaker was kind of freaked out by the whole thing, so he didn't come along, you know. But I ran downstairs because, you know, I'm weird and disturbed, and why wouldn't I? So they brought me to their car, and I opened the trunk, and there's this box with a garbage bag in it. And I open the box, and I lift the bag out and pick it up. And it definitely feels like a head, you know. But it also was very much, it was damaged. It was all, you know when you crack a hard-boiled egg and the skin is like hard, but it's mushy at the same time? That's what the head was like. It was all, the skull was cracked, but you know, it was in the ground for a while, so it was mushy too, you know. You sure you want the rest of the story? Okay. I ended up not taking it because it was moving and I realized it was full of maggots. And I didn't even take it out of the bag. I put it back in the box and I said, guys, if there's anyone that would take this as a gift, it's me. But this thing is well into decay. The skull is useless, because that's all you could salvage from it anyway. And the skull's useless and it's full of maggots, and I ain't going through cleaning it just for fragments of a skull, you know. And, so they're like bummed, you know, and they brought it back to the cemetery. But it was like Bill and Ted, you know, from the 80s, you know, and they're like, oh, dude, you know, we got you a head. And yeah, it was the one time I didn't take a gift. You know, so.